What's up, good people? Welcome back. Uh, got a little bit going on, not a lot. Let's get into it. I got 1619 up here, and I ain't even put why I put it up here. We gonna get into it. Hold on. It says slavery in America. This is Time magazine. Slavery in America didn't start in Jamestown in 1619. The first Africans. Notice they don't say black Africans. They just say Africans. If you go look up the etymology of Africans, not Africa, but Africans. Look at the etymology of Africans. Fuck it, we gonna go ahead and do it. African used of white residents of Africa from 1815. All right. So, boom, there's that. That's just 1619. Take yourself out of it. All right. So, today's 420. This is Hitler's birth date right here. 420, 1889, right? If you can see right here, I got 419, 2024. The reason why I did it like that is because if you go to 420, if you go to today, you go to it changes up to 1620. So I'll show you why I got it like this. All right, so this is how many months since Hitler's birth, right? To a day before his birthday. We know the fight is tonight with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. 1619. It's the 256 prime number. It's crazy that they got a prime number. All right. Most numbers don't. 256 prime, 1619. All right. Now this is the number from Leave the World Behind, right? The white line and station, 1619. And Obama's new film, Leave the World Behind. All right. So this is that big movie that was on Netflix, produced by the Obamas. We'll talk about the number 76 too, right? As you can see, Acts 7:6 talks about 400 years of slavery, and Acts in the 44th book of the Bible. Acts is the 44th book of the Bible. Okay? So if you spell out Georgia, it equals 44. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do it, man. I'm gonna try to be quick. Georgia 44, just like Martin Luther King, who's from Georgia, died on April 4th, right? Okay, so we would talk about 76 because O.J. Simpson died at 76. All right. Barack Obama equals 76. Slave, Negro, Blues, Rasta. All right. This is 1619 is about slavery. When they said slavery started in America. All right. We seen it in the movie Leave the World Behind, which got a whole lot of Easter eggs and occultic shit in it. All right. Today being 420. A very occultic day, right? Smoke out day. They call it the funny number. Hitler birth, Columbine High School, 420. Now, okay, that's being 60. That's how many months it's been since Hitler was born, right? 1,619. This is Ryan Garcia's birthday, August 8th, right? 2023 was his last birthday leading up to this fight. It's been a total of 256 days. It's the 16th square, but it's the prime number of 1619. This is looking like, I don't want to say. All right, and did the prediction video, man. I'm just doing this. This is just extra. This is overtime right here. This is just overtime right here. Okay. So yeah, man. See how many months it's been. 256. Like I said, 256 days from Ryan's birthday, last birthday. 256. 1619. Everything is following the script, bro. Everything is following the script. All right, now hold on. I had something else too. How many years has it been since his birth? Okay, now let's go to 420. Good. 135 years. Right. So Hitler will be 135 today. The fight is at the Barclays in New York, Brooklyn, New York. 135 days. I mean years. Hitler will be 135. Right. And no, 81 is that big ritual number. The Lakers are 8-0 against the Denver Nuggets, and they play today too. There's a lot of rematches and revenge, and all this stuff going on. Rematches, revenge. We had Roman Reigns losing the title, and with somebody else too. There's another RR. I can't think right now, but R is the 18th letter, right? And like I said, R is the 18th letter. Hold on, let's put all these up here. R, 18th letter. And it says 2024 is the year of the sun, right? Sun 54 and 18. All right. We got Ryan who could go 25. It could be 25-1 tonight if he gets the win. He came in, which kind of gives me some pause. He comes in uh, 3.2 pounds overweight. Ryan Garcia. All right. Which is funny because I can show you why it's funny. He comes in 3.2 pounds overweight. Devin Haney could go get his 30-second win. But him getting his 30-second win in New York is just, I don't know if it's going to happen. Because he could stay on 31. 31 is the 11th prime number. And the 11th state to join the union was New York, New York. That's where they fighting it. Could stay on 31 in New York. The Pope, man, the Pope. For the Barclays, right? It also equal 54 at 25-1. Yeah, been a big number, 54. I showed you that Taylor Swift at 54 seconds. What else we got, man? It's Hitler's birthday, right? So
instituted by Himmler according to the principles of the Jesuit order. Himmler's title as Supreme Commander of the SS was to be the equivalent of the Jesuits' general. Incredibly, although he killed and tortured millions, the Vatican never excommunicated Hitler. In fact, not one of the mass murderers of the Third Reich was ever excommunicated by the Vatican. The day Hitler died, the Spanish dictator Franco, also a Roman Catholic, had this statement run in the publication Reforma. Adolf Hitler, son of the Catholic Church, died while defending Christianity. As a loyal son, Hitler killed heretics, including Protestants, Jews, Orthodox Christians, and even liberal Catholics. All told, the war dead numbered between 62 to 78 million people. 11 million of the total dead from World War II died in concentration camps, instituted by Himmler according
62 to 78. And that's 78. 62 and 78 been, and now they're big occult numbers too, because we see what's his name, Donald Trump. He about to turn 78. And Queen equals 62. Let's see. Man, I'll be moving fast, bro. Let me play a little bit of this right quick.
His full allegiance to the Pope, and for which reason Thomas More was executed as a traitor, holding forth the Pope's temporal power over his allegiance to his king. Sir Thomas More is the author of Utopia. Utopia is the foundation for communism. So communism...
Samuel Morse, the inventor of Morse code, traveled to Europe and Rome in 1830 to do his own investigation into the conspiracies hatched against America. After returning home to the United States, Morse wrote 2 books warning Americans of the threat from Rome. Morse would continue sounding the alarm throughout the 1800s and went to discuss the situation with Lincoln after his inauguration.
Samuel Morse, of course, is the inventor of Morse code that was used for many, many years. And Samuel Morse wrote a book called Foreign Conspiracies Against the Liberties of the United States. It was published in 1835. And he shows in that book that the Holy Alliance and the Loophole Foundation out of Austria, controlled by the Jesuits, and the Jesuits themselves were the agents to overthrow the liberties of the United States, the Federal Republic of the United States, and to replace it with a papal centralized government as the Vatican is run.
But today, one looks around us to see U.S. presidents and congressmen and women groveling before the Pope. Lincoln's words would seem ironic. Consider this also. In April 2008, the President of the United States, George W. Bush, rushed out to meet the Pope at his plane. Does this not seem to be odd behavior? For the first time in history, a U.S. president went out to meet a religious leader, or for that matter, any leader, upon his entry into the U.S.
No president in the entire history of the United States has ever greeted a foreign diplomat like that, ever. They wait until they're brought into Washington or something. They don't go out on the tarmac. This is a first.
What makes this even more egregious is that the current Pope is a former head of the Office of Inquisition and a former member of the Nazi Party in his youth.
You know that Cardinal Ratzinger was the Grand Inquisitor of the Vatican before he became Pope Benedict. You're aware of that. I assume other people are not aware of that. For a Jew, the Inquisition has such awful, awful memories, and we are inviting the head of the Inquisition to the Jewish state. I gave a lecture yesterday, and these are the points that I brought up. You don't invite the Grand Inquisitor to Israel. It's that simple.
How did we go from a nation on the alert against the Pope and the Jesuits' desire to bring America down to one of accepting them as friends? Simply put, we have sold out. It has not gone unnoticed that several Protestant presidents have attended Mass and taken communion at Catholic churches. Since one cannot take communion at a Roman Catholic service if one is not Catholic, several presidents have misled their supporters into thinking they are Protestant when they are not. Furthermore, those in power are often Roman Catholics outright, so it is expected that they will obey orders from the Pope. From U.S. presidents to kings and queens to religious leaders throughout the world, those in power meet the Pope and bow down to him.
Everybody got to kiss the ring. It's like the mafia. It's like the mob. And they're Italian too, so it makes sense.
Even when President Obama went to the Vatican in July 2009 to discuss the world economic situation, he too bowed to the Pope. Upon leaving, President Obama said, "We look forward to a very strong relationship between our two countries." It is important to remember these words of President Obama and what they mean. The Pope is not just a spiritual ruler, he is a territorial ruler. The name of his country since 1929 is Vatican City.
The Pope is a monarch. He actually, according to various books, the Pope is the monarch of the world. Not just a religious leader, he is actually a political leader. The Vatican is actually a small area over in Rome whereby the Pope is the ruler of that small area. The actual name Vatican I found very interesting. It actually means worship of the divine serpent.
They call it a small area, but if you add up all the Catholic churches, that square, if you add up all the square footage of the Catholic churches, the Vatican actually owns more land than McDonald's. Right? I think McDonald's and the Vatican is battling for the top spot of who owns more land across the world.
So we find that the very basis of the Vatican, the very word itself, means the worship of serpents.
But from Rome's perspective,
the worship of the divine serpent. You go to divine serpent right here. Did you know that in Latin, Vatican literally means divine serpent? Right. You can see the halls of the place. The halls of the Vatican shaped like a serpent with the two eyes. All right, but here's the divine serpent right here. Here's the divine serpent right here. Can you see it? It's right there in the middle. In fact, this will give you a better view. That's it. Sun, moon. This is crazy. Sun, moon. All right, are accompanied by two dragons. The shadow realm, just the shadows. That's the divine serpent. But if you just look at the yin yang, you can see in the middle is the unseen one, right? The hidden one, my bad. The hidden one, that's the serpent right there. Splitting up the masculine and the feminine. Let's go.
the Pope rules over more than Vatican City. He rules over the earth, both spiritually and materially or temporally. According to the Roman Catholic teaching, the Pope can keep you out of heaven, and he has absolute authority over you on earth.
And when I speak of the Pope, I speak of the papacy, that the papacy claims its two powers. Its first power is universal spiritual power over all individuals, that every person must be subject to the spiritual power of the Pope, that there is no salvation outside of the Catholic Church, which is the doctrine of the Council of Trent, as reaffirmed in the documents of Vatican II of the 1960s. It's still on the books of canon law. And the other power of the Pope, which is the second key, as you see the two keys in the Pope's flag with the triple crown, Lord of heaven, Lord of earth, Lord of hell, and the two keys, spiritual power. The second key is the temporal.
And this is a regular man, bro. Come on, man. Shit, this stuff is crazy, bro. Like I keep saying, did God from the heavens come down and write that book? Probably not. All right, this is the yin yang too. That's why I keep bringing it. I'll keep bringing it up. I keep bringing it up. Flat Earth. I know people out there think it's silly because ain't nobody came out and been like, "Yo, I'm a flat earther too." So I'm like, all right, I'll chill out. But it's the same. This is the yin yang too. If you mess with the yin yang, you got to mess with this too. I'm sorry, you can't have one without the other. This is hours and minutes. Hours meaning Horus, minutes the moon. All right, let's go back. I gotta type something out right quick.
The temporal power is this, that the Pope believes he has the right to rule the government, the civil government of every nation. That temporal power has never been denied, it's never been disclaimed.
But there is no question that the Pope wields both swords, both a spiritual sword that the public sees, as well as a political sword, which most people do not see.
So it is very interesting and unsettling to those who love freedom and the right to worship God as one sees fit, to see our leaders submitting to the Pope of Rome. Now let us revisit Lincoln's words. We have discussed the popes and the papacy, but what about the other group Lincoln mentioned? He spoke of the sinister influence of the Jesuits. Who are the Jesuits?
Jesuits are a group of people that were raised up right around 1535, 1540. Their leader was Ignatius Loyola. They basically had two purposes. One purpose was to destroy the Protestant Reformation. Because as you remember, Martin Luther had appeared at the Diet of Worms in 1521, stood before Charles V and the Holy Roman Empire. And so the Catholic Church sought to stop the Protestant Reformation that Luther began, and they couldn't do it. And so about 20 years after Luther stood at the Diet of Worms, the Jesuit order was created. And one of their purposes was to destroy every vestige of the Protestant Reformation, both in the religious realm, in the political realm, and in the economic realm, because the Protestant Reformation not only affected the religious arena, it also affected the political and the economic arenas as well. That was one goal of the Jesuit order. The other aspect was to restore the supremacy and dominance of the Pope throughout the world.
The Jesuit order has directed popes concerning policy, both foreign and domestic, since 1540, in particular, since the Council of Trent.
The Council of Trent, indeed. It started in 1545. It went for the next 18 years. That doesn't mean that they stayed there for 18 years. They met in different places, but over that period of time, the various leaders of the Catholic Church and the newly formed Jesuit order would come together from time to time and discuss how the Catholic Church would respond to the teachings of the Protestant Reformation. Would they accept them, or would they completely reject them?
So the doctrines that were being championed at the Reformations, the doctrines of grace, justification by grace through faith, justification by faith alone, sola scriptura, only the scriptures, by grace alone, through faith alone, etc., no baptismal regeneration, that there is only salvation in Christ, that we do not participate in our salvation. It's not a joint effort of man and God, etc., etc. All the doctrines championed by the Reformers were absolutely accursed and condemned and reprobated by the Council of Trent, that the Jesuits.
I see they talk about the Protestants. Protestants was basically protest. These was a church that was protesting against the Catholic Church, and you know a lot of the Protestants came over here to America and started America, right? So eventually we get to the Civil War, and that's how this video started off, talking about Abe Lincoln and the Civil War, and how Abe Lincoln was like the Jesuits is, you know, trying to infiltrate America and really telling us to look out for the Jesuits. All right, but, you know, eventually they did infiltrate and take over. All right.
It's really oversaw from 1545 to 1563. It was an 18-year council in the town of Trent, Italy, and that is the foundation of what we call the Counter-Reformation.
And the Council of Trent laid out the focal point, the direction that the Catholic Church would go for the next 4 centuries. Basically, at the Council of Trent, they decided that tradition and what the church fathers of the Catholic Church taught would continue to be the sole authority in the Catholic Church. Now, of course, there's other aspects of that, other teachings that branch off from that. But that is the basic sum of the Council of Trent, that tradition would still rule the Catholic Church. The anathemas that they have come out with that came from the Council of Trent to destroy heretics, to destroy those who would uphold the Word of God, those still live today.
That's correct. The papacy has not rescinded any of the curses set forth in the Council of Trent. In fact, the Council of Trent ends and says, "Accursed be all heretics. Accursed, accursed." Every pope has to swear to uphold the Council of Trent. And if you read the documents of Vatican II, put together by Abbot, it shows you right there that every pope must swear to uphold the Council of Trent, even though in the 60s, when they were calling heretics separated brethren, with that delusion and illusion, they still did uphold the Council of Trent, as well as all the former papal bulls condemning heretics and calling for kings to kill them out of their dominions, like the doctrines of Pius IV.
The head of the Jesuits is the superior general of the order. He is called the Black Pope.
The head of the Jesuit order is the Black Pope. The man who is currently there, he was just recently elected, Nicholas Adolphus. The Black Pope is the head of the Jesuit order. He is called the Black Pope not because he is of African origin, but because he is in the dark. We see the white Pope, we see Pope Benedict XVI, because he's visible and all the world knows who he is. But the Black Pope remains in the dark, behind the scenes, and so few people know.
There go that duality of black and white, right? Like I just showed the yin yang sign, right? Black is always hidden. That's why Black history, you know, nobody ever talk about white history. You know, white history is everywhere, though. Black history is hidden.
He even exists. But that's why he's called the Black Pope, and he's the one who heads the Jesuit order.
There is an ongoing war against anyone who resists the power of the Pope. And this war is directed by the Jesuits. This war is not waged openly by the Jesuits. The Society of Jesus moves in the shadows. They infiltrate and get others to do the dirty work of assassination. If armed conflict is needed, they use the army of one nation to bring a disobedient nation to its knees.
The Jesuits would do that.
We're seeing that with Ukraine and Russia, Israel, and Now Iran was Hamas, which Hamas is not even a country. So it is what it is.
Very thing. They were very intelligent. They're still very intelligent people. What they would do is they would infiltrate, they did it through economics, through the merchants. They would then come in, start teaching. They were very wise people. They would then infiltrate not only into schools, but they then would infiltrate into local government and then rise up to higher government officials. We find that repeatedly in the book by Avril Manhattan called Vietnam, Why Did We Go?, where he talks about how they followed this exact plan throughout Southeast
Damn, we won't fight another rich man's war. Praise the Lord and praise the ammunition.
Asia. They did it in Japan. They did it in China. They did it in Korea. They did it in Vietnam. They did it all along the Pacific Rim. Well, eventually what would happen, you would have created Catholic cities where all the people in towns would become Catholics. Well, they would then try to put their Catholic ideals onto the major religious populace of a country. In the Far East, of course, the major religious populace would be the Buddhists. So these Catholics
There you go, Keegan. Shout out.
in these countries, these converts to Catholicism, they would try to push their Catholicism on their Buddhist friends. And when the Buddhist friends rejected it, the Catholics would start to use force. Well, then the Buddhists would appeal to the local governments, the state governments, the national governments, and then there would be revolution. It got so bad in Japan that in 1639, the Japanese emperor, he said, no more Catholics, no more Europeans will come to our island again. And that ban stayed there for almost 2 centuries. This happened throughout the Far East and in other countries throughout the world.
Why has this assault on the non-Catholic world been ignored by most people, especially Protestant ministers?
Billy Graham he didn't protest towards the latter part of his life. For the first part, I think he was solid when he first started. But along around the early 60s, his voice was silenced. Robert Schuller, Paul Crouch, Hal Lindsey, Pat Robertson, James Dobson, all of these men, they're not protesting. What they have become are agents of Rome. I remember back when I was starting my student teaching, I was teaching 7th grade history to young people, talking about the Pilgrims and Puritans coming over to America. The book said absolutely nothing about why they were coming to America. And I was just reading, and I've got a book here called the Rothschild Money Trust, and also a book about the Rockefellers, the Rockefeller File by Gary Allen. But these people have set up trusts, and they have rewritten the history books. They have rewritten the history books so that the 7th grade history book that I was teaching out of said nothing about the Reformations.
We have to remember that the papacy, specifically the Black Pope, controls all high-level Freemasonry. That includes the Pope's Masonic Jewish Zionist running his Kingdom of Jerusalem. That includes the top Freemasons in this country, especially the temple there in Washington, D.C. That includes all of your big evangelists. For example, Billy Graham is the 33rd degree Freemason. Now, I know the Billy Graham organization denies that, but it's still the truth, because we know, according to the honest 33rd degree Freemason who was truly converted to Christ when he believed the gospel, was saved by the grace of God. His name was Jim Shaw. That when he was inducted into the Order of the 33rd degree in Washington, D.C., he said there were two former presidents there on that in that council. And one of them was Gerald Ford, a 33rd degree Freemason who pardoned Nixon. And the other was Jimmy Carter, 33rd degree Freemason. So there they are at the Grand Council. Another one was an international evangelist, which he later told others that it was Billy Graham because the publisher.
Hold on 1 second. All right. Because we got the London Company of Virginia. And, their big thing was, they got a lot, right? Looking for gold, passage to Asia, converting Indians to Christianity. And now, if you look at the so-called Indians today, they still worship Father Moon, Mother Sky, Mother Moon, Father Sun. They still following indigenous ways, right? Indigenous spirituality. So who are the Indians that they converted to Christianity? And I just showed you when this thing first kicked off. It said it didn't start. Slavery didn't start in Jamestown. This is Jamestown, Virginia, right? This is the London Company of Virginia. They wanted to convert Indians into Christianity. Who did they convert? What Indians did they convert into Christians? That's my question.
Refused to put Billy Graham's name in there. So Billy Graham was there. So Billy Graham is nothing more than the high-level Masonic shill for the papacy, which is also fraught with Freemasons, if you read the book In God's Name by David Yallop. And so we talk about Robert Schuller, for example. Robert Schuller is another 33rd degree Freemason. He went to Rome to get the Pope's blessing to build his Crystal Cathedral. And Robert Schuller is a personal friend of the anti-white, hateful racist Louis Farrakhan, who is another high-level Freemason who runs the Nation of Islam for the Archbishop of Chicago. So we have all these high-level Masonic leaders, black and white, of all these various different religions, working together for agitation among the peoples of this country, but never, ever exposing the papacy as the true heart and soul and its real master.
All of this sounds incredible. It becomes less so when one examines the oath of the Jesuits.
We have to understand that these men have died to their own self-will. It's something a Christian should do. That's the way we should be. We have no life anymore. Our life we're dead with Christ and we're hidden God with him. When Christ is revealed, who is our life, then we shall be revealed with him in glory. We need to learn to die to ourselves and count our lives as nothing. That our only purpose is to do the will of our master. And when he's finished with us, then let us die. The Jesuits have done this, but they do it for the devil. And so they have completely been emptied of their own personalities, and upon the order of their commander will do exactly what they're told. There's no such thing as a disobedient Jesuit. They're all under orders. They've been trained for 15 years. They're soldiers. They're more of a Marine Corps than the Marines. The Marines were fashioned after the Jesuit order. You break the man down in boot camp, you rob him of his personality, you shave his head, you put all the same clothes on him, they're all treated the same, they're treated like dirt, we're going to rob you of your will so that we can mold you into what we want you. That's all Jesuit. So, this is how they think. In a given the order, they will kill you, me, themselves, their mother, anything they're ordered to do, that is what they will do. We're going to bring down 9/11 today, gentlemen. Okay, give me the order, what we do, what button we push. Do I need to be inside, outside? What is it? And that's what they'll do. We need to bring down the Pentagon today. We need to blow up Arizona in Pearl Harbor in 1941. Okay, I'll be there. What's my orders? They're all under orders. And this is why you can have no country with a Jesuit presence in it. They have to be expelled. And all their agents that they work through must be expelled. And this is exactly what Tsar Alexander I did in 1820. He kicked out all the Jesuits out of Russia. In 1822, he shut down all the Masonic lodges. And in 1825, he was poisoned. So this is the Jesuit mindset, and we should read the spiritual exercises. We should read some of their works. We need to read the Jesuit doctrines of regicide, how it's no murder to kill a heretic, how it's okay to lie, cheat, and steal, how it's okay to kill your enemy, how it's okay to kill a woman that you commit adultery with. If she should want to tell on you, you can kill her.
Let me show you why it's so hard for people, man, to accept stuff like this, bro. This is, like I said, you got the elites, but then you got the elders too. Your elders, all right, they were kids once too. So this thing just keep going on and on, round and round. And there's a reason why Saturn controls time, right? So you born a little baby. See, all these is pictures of Saturn, right? And you see he's eating a little kid. That's what time does. You know, it basically takes your innocence. And then you, as a little kid, you don't know shit. So you got to depend on your elders. And, you know, like I said, it's a cycle. So they don't really know shit neither. And, you know, they take your innocence. They take your youth, right? The closest being on this earth is a little child to God, to the Creator. And as soon as you're born, they want to start stripping you of that, you know, that natural being, right? I mean, yeah, they want to, you know, get the God out of you. Because little kids don't know nothing about racism. And for a lack of better words, I'm going to use the word black, but I've been trying not to use that word because it is a curse. See, yeah, they don't know nothing about racism. This world, like Saturn, it teaches you hate. It divides us, right? Saturn time. The elders.
All right in there in their canon law. It's okay to steal. The whole world is their candy shop, where they can steal everything they can get their hands on to consolidate it under the power of the Jesuit order. And if that means killing kings or sinking ships, even if it causes their own death, they do it for the greater glory of God. Ad majorem Dei glory.
When a Jesuit priest is elevated to a position of high command, he is administered what is called the Jesuit Extreme Oath of Induction. This oath has been called the Fourth Vow, or the Blood Oath, given to those in the Society of Jesus besides the traditional vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. A copy of the Extreme Oath can be found in the Congressional Record.
I want to read a statement to you, which is the Jesuit Oath. It says, this is the Jesuit Oath. I do further promise and declare that I will have no opinion or will of my own, that's from the Spiritual Exercises of Loyola, or any mental reservation whatever, even as a corpse or cadaver, but will unhesitatingly obey each and every command that I may receive from my superiors in the militia of the Pope. I furthermore promise and declare that I will make and wage relentless war, as I am directed to do, to extirpate and exterminate Protestants and liberals from the face of the whole earth. I will neither spare age, sex, or condition. I will hang, burn, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive these infamous heretics, rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women, and crush their infants' heads against the wall, in order to annihilate forever their execrable race. And then it goes on. The point being, throughout the history of the Jesuit order, they will shoot, they will burn, they will flay, they will do whatever it takes to destroy anybody who stands in the way of what they want to do.
In 2009, the Jesuit general was confronted about the oath.
One of the things in your Jesuit high oath, I think it says something about, furthermore, you promise to declare that we'll, at the first opportunity, seek war at any opportunity against heretics, Protestants, liberals. See here, and that will spare neither age nor sex nor condition, and I will hang, waste, boil, flays. You've never seen this before? No, never seen it. Strangle, bury alive. It's horrible. And I was like, look, it's in the congressional record. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Does the oath and activities of the Jesuit reflect anything Christian? Or is it as Jesus said, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves? What else do we know about the Jesuits? They have been thrown out of 83 countries over the last 500 years. That is correct. 83 countries have physically removed them. And why was it necessary to remove them? In a word, power. The Jesuits have throughout history sought to take over and control every country in which they reside. Since their beginning in 1540, the Jesuits' power grew until they controlled the papacy, the Roman Catholic Church, and many of the governments of the world. In 1773, all of that changed. One by one, countries began to expel the Jesuits from their borders. This culminated in the suppression.
I just thought about something, man. That solar eclipse, right, took place on April 8th, 4/8. Let me see. If you spell out Jesuit. Well, dang, I could have kept that sun moon up there too. Jesuit is 84, right? Now, like I said, it's the black pope, the white pope. The black pope is like the shadowy figure, right? And that's what took place with the solar eclipse. Was the shadow taking over the sun. So something is going on, right? And it's in alliance with that eclipse, right? We all know that was a powerful eclipse. I'm pretty sure all your family and friends checked out the eclipse, and it was a big talk on social media. It was just a huge eclipse, man. It was a lot of energy, right? So something huge is coming, bro.
Or abolishment of the Jesuits in 1773. In that year, Pope Clement XIV officially disbanded the order forever. This providential act enabled a nation based on religious liberty to be formed, the United States of America. At the same time in history as the Jesuits were suppressed, the American Revolution occurred. Many believe this was no accident, but an act of God.
I see the suppression of the Jesuits as providential, because without the suppression of the Jesuit order, there is no successful American Revolution, period. We have to understand that the Protestants and the Baptists of Europe had been persecuted in excess of 200 years, crying out to the Lord for some place to live where they could worship him and seek his face and be obedient to his word. That nothing else was more important to them than that. And so as a result, the Lord answered their prayers and opened up North America to them in the 1600s, but ultimately to get a government that would protect them in their rights, freedom of worship, freedom of press, freedom of conscience, freedom of self-defense, in what came to be the American Bill of Rights and then, of course, the U.S. Constitution. So without the suppression of the Jesuit order, there is no escape for us out of Europe into North America to start a free nation where we can worship God according to the dictates of our conscience.
As the Americans were determining and setting up a constitution where Protestant principles would reign, where freedom of religion would reign, where people would have the right to bear arms, where people would have a right to a fair trial, where all of these principles are being laid down, the Jesuit order is abolished. If the Jesuit order had not been abolished in 1773, and as they watched a Protestant country rising up in the Western Hemisphere, the Jesuit order would have used not only England, who they did use in the American Revolution, they would have used France, they would have used Spain, they would have used Portugal, because those were all Catholic countries. They would have used all those countries to destroy this growing Protestant nation, and it would never have been established.
Having had their power and influence greatly diminished, the Jesuits were unable to stop the American colonies from establishing a Protestant republic. That is to say, the Jesuits were in no condition to coordinate a crusade against the new Protestant republic as they had done with England in 1588 by using the Spanish Armada. But the Jesuits had one ace in the hole. Many of the founding fathers were deists and Freemasons. They attended church services and publicly paid homage to the God of the Bible. But in reality, they did not believe in miracles or the divinity of Jesus Christ. Their God was the great architect of the universe, not the God of the Bible. Thomas Jefferson went so far as to create his own Bible by cutting out verses he agreed with and pasting them into a blank book. The verses Jefferson believed in were those where Jesus speaks of morality and loving others. Miracles, such as the virgin birth or Jesus' resurrection, were omitted since they were considered fables. Freemasons like Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Paine had little regard for the divine, miracle-working Jesus of the Bible. Thomas Paine, author of the famous pamphlet Common Sense, wrote a book called The Age of Reason.
Yo, let me read this right quick, man. Shout out to Keegan Thompson. My girlfriend was raised by super Christians, and they told her when she was a kid, if God asked them to, they would sacrifice her, like the biblical story. I forget the biblical characters. It's even older than that, because I've been showing y'all this picture of Baal, all right, and that's what's going on. I mean, that's what the picture shows, right? It's the sacrifice of children. I just showed y'all Saturn and how he was eating his own child, right? That we adults, I'm not too concerned about us. We can, and most of us who watch this channel, we can think for ourselves. But the kids, the babies, man, they sacrifice. I mean, they would be the sacrificial lamb, right? Like Jesus sacrificed the Baal. And they think it's God, but come on, man. Shout out to Love and Reality. I agree. Your intentions is what matters, and your end goal, good or evil, no in between. Facts.
In it, Paine says, Jesus Christ wrote no account of himself. The history of him is altogether the work of other people. And as to the account given of his resurrection and ascension, it was the necessary counterpart to the story of his birth. His historians, having brought him into the world in a supernatural manner, were obliged to take him out again in the same manner.
Well, let me say one more thing, okay? Because the duality, right? You got the devil, right? And it's negative and positive energy, right? Like a battery. Like I said, this is a energy generator that we living in. Right on each shoulder, on each side. It's been going on. We see this in cartoons a lot, so I just use the cartoon, right? And it's this battle for your soul. But what they don't tell you, that you're a God, right? So how do you deal with this? Because in the spiritual, how do you tell who's right and who's wrong? Right. You know, we do want to stay on the more positive side. All right. But you know, Jesus told us to follow the middle way. Right. That's why he's on that cross. He's in the middle, especially on this earth, on this plane, right? Because this I pulled this up for a reason. Do I still got it up here? Probably not. The nut and Gib. I pulled nut and Gib up for a reason. All right, I can't. Oh, here we go. All right, because like I said before, there's a reason why he's lying on the ground, right? Just like the Pope, the liar. He's the liar. Man is gonna lie. This is what this world is. Because we know it's usually Mother Earth, right? You plant a seed in the ground, just like you plant the seed in a woman, and life comes from it, right? But they use the male because they're trying to let you know this world it's the lie, right? This is the lie. The liars.
Thus, when it came time to create a document that would unite these colonies into one country, the Jesuits had an idea many preferred. It was called religious liberty. The First Amendment to the Constitution would allow all religions to exist in America, not just religions based on the Protestant Bible. In the new American Republic, Roman Catholicism was allowed to coexist with the Protestant denominations, as well as the deistic Freemasons. But most importantly, the Roman Catholics were allowed to vote just like any other citizens. This was key, as we shall see later on. For as their numbers increased, Roman Catholics could put in power other Roman Catholics, or those who were sympathetic to them, and change the nation from within.
That's the cross. This is the cross. Now, if you got these beings on either side, you don't know who is who. All right, because they both got wings. How you think he got from the underworld? The demon with wings. He got wings. He will have wings too. That's how you get up from the underworld. It was a movie on Netflix. It was a TV show on Netflix. I can't even think of the name, man. It's real good. When I find the name, and I'm sure let y'all know, man. But in the TV show, there's like a pope or a father. He goes off on a missionary. No, he go on like a what do they call it, man? A passage, a homage. I can't think of the word, but he goes on a journey, right, like to the Holy Land, and he goes in a cave, right? Caves is very important too, especially to spirituality. He goes in a cave, and he ends up getting messed up, falls out. He wakes up, and it's a what looks like a demon. He calls it an angel, though. He gets the two confused. All right. So in this world, right, the world of the liars, in order not to fall off balance, because you're trying to get out of here. The goal is to get out of here. The goal is to make it out. They want to keep you here, right? And they do it with the easiest way is to do it with sex and fear. So in order to get out of here, to get across, right, to walk across the liar, the tightrope, you got to keep your balance. So in order to keep your balance, you can't look over here to the left or the right because your ass is gonna fall off. Right. So as you can see, right, just using sacred geometry, this is the cross right here. Balance. All right, let's keep it pushing.
After the Revolutionary War, voting rights of Catholics did change. We know that one of the signers of the Constitution was a Roman Catholic. There was only one, Mr. Carroll. but nonetheless, it made it look like a place for Roman Catholics to come, as well as Protestants to have religious liberty, which is absurd. The Roman Catholic people had been used by the priests to kill us for centuries, and so why not stay in Europe? Well, they were being used by...
I think we all on the same page. Love and reality. You said, may I ask for your perspective on the in between? Would the in between be the narrow path? Yes, that's what I was showing. Hopefully that answered it for you. You know, that's the narrow path, right? You see on the tightrope, you don't want to fall off, right? Fall off course, right? But if you hit these two beings that they really much made up, right? It's really designed to get you off course in any way. If you looking up to heaven a little bit too much, guess what? Somebody gonna be in your pocket while you looking up into heaven. You gotta stay on a straight and narrow path and just know that you living life right according to your spirit. The soul will tell you, right? You'll feel it. You definitely feel it. Like I said, this world is full of liars. That's why the lies is more important than it get more traction than the truth, right? We may not never reach 1,000 subscribers, but it is what it is because this is the world of the liars, man. But if I was up here talking about NBA YoungBoy all day, then yeah, we'd be good. But it ain't about that. And that's the yin and the yang too. Everybody focuses on the outside of the yin and the yang, but the middle way is the serpent. The middle way is the serpent, right? Everybody focuses on the black and the white part of it, but that's the most important part of the yin and yang is that middle line, right? That middle serpent, staying on the straight and narrow path.
by the Jesuits to come here to ultimately then take over political power and then submit North America to the feet of the Pope.
Turning from the happenings with the American colonies, let us take a moment to investigate what the Jesuits were up to in Europe after their suppression. As we might guess, the Jesuits were not idle. They decided to seek revenge against those who had turned on them, specifically a traitorous Pope and the Catholic monarchs of Europe. In 1774, a year after the Jesuits were disbanded forever,
Pope Clement XIV had suppressed the Jesuits, and a short time later, he was poisoned. Poison is a big thing with these guys.
Pope Clement stated, "Alas, I knew they would poison me, but I did not expect to die in so slow and cruel a manner." A post-mortem examination of his body revealed the presence of a poison. Thus, the Jesuits rid themselves of a troublesome pope. The vendetta on the Catholic monarchs of Europe was approached in a less obvious manner. Cleverly, the Jesuits determined not to act in their own name, but decided to work through front groups and to have them take the blame for their revenge. In this way, the Jesuits would continue to appear to be disbanded and innocent of any involvement in the matter. The first front group the Jesuits used was called the Illuminati. The Illuminati was organized in Bavaria by a Jesuit professor, Adam Weishaupt, on May 1, 1776, just 3 years after the Jesuits were disbanded. Many sources only casually mention that Weishaupt was a former Jesuit, and they usually state he was an ex-Jesuit.
Today's April 20th. So in 10, 11 days, will be May 1st. Like he just said, this is when the Illuminati was started on May 1st, right? So that's May Day. We was talking about that probably like a month ago. May Day, right? 5/1, right? And 51 is moon. So just telling y'all, be on the lookout. I'm probably gonna do a video on that day. All right, be on the lookout.
In reality, Weishaupt never left the order. As for the order itself, it never was truly disbanded.
In Bavaria, when the Illuminati was founded in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, Weishaupt is used by the Jesuits then to continue the work of the Jesuit order under another name. Weishaupt never repudiated the Jesuits. That's a lie of many, many conspiratorial historians controlled by the Pope. They want to create this dichotomy between the Illuminati and the Jesuits. Never fall for it. Weishaupt was operating under orders from a superior. Ritchie at the time was the general, then later another superior. But Weishaupt then enters into an alliance with the House of Rothschild. So now we see the Rothschilds, the Jewish Rothschilds, Red Shield, become the bankers for the Jesuit order during the upheaval we will know as the French Revolution and Napoleonic Wars.
He said Rothschild is Red Shield, which is correct, but to break that word Rothschild down even more, is Ra and Thoth, right? It's the childs of Ra and Thoth. The Rothschilds are very astute in ancient Egyptian cosmology and what's the word? The way the thinking of the teachings. I'll just say that the teachings of the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, right? The Rothschilds are very astute in that, right? And they went and stole all the important stuff from ancient Egyptian. So yeah, the Rothschild is the childs of Ra and Thoth, right? These are two ancient gods, right, from Egypt.
So this alliance between the Jesuits and the House of Rothschild, these high-level Masonic Jews, is very important to realize at this point because we have to live with it and deal with it today. Also, Bavaria is the stronghold of the Jesuits. There was a huge inquisitional torture chamber there in Nuremberg. Interesting that the Nuremberg trials of the Nazis would be held there.
And the very principles of the Illuminati, the way the organization was run, it's the very principles of the Jesuit order. And that's found in Nesta Webster's book called Secret Societies.
In 1814, Francois Charles de Berkheim reported on Germany's secret societies and stated, "The oldest and most dangerous association is that which is generally known under the denomination of the Illumines, and of which the foundation goes back towards the middle of the last century. Bavaria was its cradle. It is said that it had for founders several chiefs of the Order of the Jesuits." Through the Illuminati, the Jesuits sought to take over various powerful secret societies, especially the higher degrees of Freemasonry.
If you study all of the different organizations in the world, whether it be the Knights of Malta, the Bilderbergers, the Club of Rome, the Council on Foreign Relations, as you study.
Let me show y'all something else right quick, bro. So I just asked the question: did Jesus go to church? All right. How you spell it? Woe, ye lawyers. Woe to you. This ain't the KJ. I like the KJV, bro, because it's the closest version to the original Bible. All right. Woe unto you also, ye lawyers, for ye laid men with burdens grievous to their born, and ye yourself touched not the burden. See, this can't be it. There we go. Just go to Bible Gateway. Woe unto you lawyers, for ye have taken away the key of knowledge. Ye enter not in yourselves, and them that were entering ye hindered. Now look, this is to the church. The lawyers is the prophets, the prophecies, right? The lawyers is the church, right? The hierarchy of the church. They will be called the lawyers, right? And Jesus is basically telling them, yo, shame on you, right? Basically, for ye have taken away the key of knowledge. The key of knowledge. The key of knowledge is what? Entering into yourselves. Now, how do you enter into yourself? And Jesus also said the kingdom of heaven is within you, right? He kept making references to go within. Now, to go within is simple, like Brother Keegan was saying. The Buddhists and they got it right, and the monks do this too, because they meditate. Let's go to the aura, right? This was the key. This is what Jesus was talking about: entering within, right? Closing both eyes and going within, right? Through the process of meditation. That's how you raise your energy up, right? Because this is the lower level, the sex level, right? The red, right? That's what the devil is. That's why the devil wears red, right? You want to extend your energy up to the crown chakra, right? And even beyond that. So that's why the unk was important. That's why Jesus said what he said, because, and that's why the church killed Jesus, because he was telling them they was doing spirituality wrong. And they had already, and he was saying he was the son of God too, but he was also saying y'all are doing spirituality wrong, and people were starting to follow Jesus, and so they had to get him up out of here. This is the story, all right. You see, woe unto you lawyers, for ye have taken away the key of knowledge. The key of knowledge is entering into yourself, right? And even there's a lot of Bible verses about going within, right, and going up. That's why Moses had to go up a mountain, right? When the flood came for Noah's Ark story, and then when the flood was over, he ended up on top of a mountain, right? After taking two of each kind. Two of each kind is the negative and positive, right? He's taking the male and the female, right? Cain and Abel, two of each. When it's duality. Adam and Eve is duality. All these stories is dealing with duality, right? Now look, your third eye is the spiritual eye. In order, and it sees, it's 360, right? It sees everything. It's always recorded. But in order for you to see in this world, your third eye had to become two. Your third eye had to become two to see into this world. Whenever you enter this world, everything splits up. Let me show you this. This is a rock band, right? And to me, they break it down the best. I don't know what happened. This image is okay. Let's just try another one. Pink Floyd. Okay, this is for some reason now. Let's go over here. Okay, I got it. That album cover for Pink Floyd, right, shows what I'm talking about. It's pure light, goes through a portal, right, a vortex, right. It's shaped like a pyramid. That's what we in. This is what you. When you're a spirit, this is what you see. You see a pyramid, and when you want to come into this world, that's what you got to go through. You go through this portal, right, and then you get broken up into 7 different pieces, 7 different worlds. I forgot what this thing is called, man. Man, I forgot what this thing is called. And it's from the Buddhist too. Let's try this right quick. I know it's gonna be some bullshit. Okay, let's see if I type out. I don't even know how to spell. Here we go, right here. Yep, this is it. All right. Now, that's the great mother, right? The great whore Babylon. All right, the great mother. As you see where the circle is at, and there's 7 different spots. All right, that's why 7 different colors. I've been showing colors too for the Pink Floyd album. You come into this reality, all right, that we think is reality, and you get broken up into 7 different pieces. You live in 7 different lives at once. All right, and this is the places that you go when you go into the dream world. That's why the dream world be seeming so real, because it is. And you living out 7 different lives at one time. As you can see, she got her fingers in her. Yeah, she got her fingers on the circle. She's turning these, right? She's turning these. She's flipping the pages. She's turning these. She's flipping the pages. It's deep, bro. Oh man, I love this shit, bro. All right, you come in at pure light. That's what you is. This little light of mine. So from church, right? You come in pure light, and then the exist in this reality, right? You get this avatar body, but you really guys Jews. This is where the Jews come from. Guys, Jews. You're a Jew. A prism. That's a prism. This a prism, right? And what does a prism do? Hold on. This thing is messing me up. All right, what is this? Okay, here we go. A prism. There we go, right there. A prism is a prison. A prism is a prison, right? That's why they put you, when they lock you up, you get a charge. Charge is dealing with electricity and light. You get a prism. This body is the prism. Like I said, Jesus is dragging the cross. He's dragging the cross. That's why the serpent is on the cross. Because this is the burden that you got to carry, right? That little bitty light is carrying this big burden or cross or burden body. All right, but a prison traps light, and then it's that same image, man. It's some deep shit, bro. Shout out to the chat, man. I'm gonna play the video. I'm gonna get back in the chat.
All these different groups, and the Knights of Malta would be included in that. You find that they are like a buffer behind which the Jesuit order operates.
In his book, Proofs of a Conspiracy, John T. Robison wrote concerning the Masonic lodges. At this time, 1798, the Jesuits interfered considerably, insinuating themselves into the lodges. Robison went on to...
Okay, I'm gonna just, I was about to type it out, but yeah, Keegan Thomas said, you're saying the KJV is the closest to the original. Yes, because even when they translated it from out of, Latin or Hebrew, it lost, it's not holy no more. It loses its power. Just like if I say, how are you, my friend? Or if I say, how are you, my friend? You see, I put a comma after how are you? Then I say my friend. If I say, how are you, my friend, it's like it comes off a whole different way. So the reason why I like to use the KJV is because it's the closest, it's the translation that's the closest to the original. The more and more we get to translating they get to translating the Bible without, it's probably hundreds or thousands of different ways that they done translated the Bible, right, to make it easier for people to read, which is cool. But at the same time, it takes away from the true meaning of, what the original writers of the Bible was trying to convey. You feel me? So yeah, just like I said, how are you, my friend, versus how are you, comma, my friend. It's the context is way different, right? You could take offense to me saying, "How are you, my friend?" Where you won't take offense to "How are you, comma, my friend?" Like it's more friendlier to say it with the comma, right? So that's what I'm saying. Even a comma, if, you know what I'm saying, just the misplace of a comma can change the way these words, which are spells, are interpreted.
To say, this society is well known to have put on every shape and to have made use of every mean that could promote the power and influence of the order. And we know that at this time they were by no means without hopes of re-establishing the dominion of the Church of Rome in England. And with the Illuminati and the higher orders of Freemasonry, the Jesuits fomented the destruction of the very monarchs who had opposed them, beginning with the French Revolution and later with Napoleon Bonaparte.
The French Revolution was launched and waged by the Jesuits using Grand Orient Freemasonry and Scottish Rite Freemasonry in England for the purpose of punishing the Roman Catholic monarchs of Europe, taking back the Vatican Empire from the Pope, tearing away the colonies from England, Protestant England. They were doing several things at one time. Remember, the Jesuits are the great Hegelians. They can think along 10, 20, 50 different lines at the same time and coordinate them all together. So to understand what we do, we have to think dialectically. We can never think linearly. So the purpose of the French Revolution, first and foremost, was to punish the Roman Catholic monarchs of Europe. And that they did. What happened? Why, they beheaded Louis XVI, the grandson of Louis XV. We're going to teach you Bourbons of France who you mess with when you suppress the Jesuits. And then we're going to behead his wife, Marie Antoinette. And she was the daughter of Maria Theresa. She was a Habsburg. So we're going to punish you Habsburgs. You suppress us, we're going to cut off the head of Marie Antoinette using our Jacobins. And then you Braganzas of Portugal, we're going to drive you into exile using Napoleon. And they did. They had to go into South America. And you Bourbons in Spain, we're going to drive you into exile too. We're going to have Napoleon set up a little banana republic up here in Spain. And then you Knights of Malta, how dare you kick us off your island of Malta in 1768? We're going to teach you a lesson. So they took Napoleon down here with his huge fleet, took all the treasures of the Knights of Malta and took all their weapons so that they could use that in the invasion of Egypt, at which time the Jesuits used Napoleon to kill.
Because this is really representing the third eye. Just light bulb over the head. This is intelligence, right? You got an idea. Where do ideas come from? It comes from the source, right? You thought of something. You got an idea. It means it wasn't in existence until you thought of it, right? So this is source energy, right? When you close both eyes, that third eye open up. It should. And I ain't talking about, oh, you got calcify. I'm gonna tell you the best way to know if your third eye open, because people just be, using that. People that word get thrown around. That phrase get thrown around a lot. But the best way to tell if your third eye is open. Let me see if I can spell this. Let's try this. I know I spelled it wrong, but hopefully they help me out. You see, the pituitary gland and pineal glands, right? It's also known as the epiphysis gland, right? The epiphysis gland. So epiphysis, you get the word epiphany from. Now, if you're having a lot of epiphanies, ideals that's not from this world, right? Inventions, that's how you know that third eye is open. You get to talking some shit that ain't nobody ever heard of. That's when you know that third eye is wide open, baby. Ain't no calcium. You know, they try to scare you and like, oh nah. And most people just don't use it, bro. But it would, to me, it would be very easy to tap into because it's the epiphysis gland, right? The pineal gland, the third eye is called the epiphysis gland. So if you start having a lot of epiphanies, that's how you know the third eye is open, baby. That's the source. All right. And I keep showing this, right? Because it's the same thing, y'all. I'm trying to tell you that's the same thing. Hold on. If I can find a good picture, which I can't. It's all good. Let's just use. Nah, that sucks. I'm sorry. That sucks too. Well, matter of fact, let's just use this. All right. This is the Hebrew cosmology, right? So you see Sheol, that's the underworld. That would be the underworld. But this is the same thing as that light bulb over your head. This is the source of energy, right? For the world. Now we all can tap into that, right? This is where we're trying to get back to, right? Outside the simulation, outside the matrix. That movie, boy, 1999, they made that movie because they wanted to see if we could tell y'all the truth and how many people was gonna pick up on it. Matter of fact, a better thing to do would be this. Let's just use, because why they get taught different things than we do, the Freemasons I'm talking about. Like I said, this is the third eye. What that it's the same thing as that light bulb over your head, right? Epiphanies. That's source energy. That's the source. And they using one eye to represent that. Well, the Freemasons is some cold boy. They some cold motherfuckers. It look like the Hunk, yeah. And, you know, because all these people, like I just showed, the ancient cosmology, all these people was talking about this, man. Let me show y'all something right quick. What's it called? It's called evolution. I said this before too. This is in reverse. We're going backwards, and that's the goal too. That's what they want. We're going backwards, but they make it seem like everybody was dumb and stupid. The ancients was dumb. No, they were. That is the biggest lie. Now, some things I can get with what they be talking about, but this is just a flat out lie. We're devolving, right? That's why they gave us smartphones, right? And 80% of the world got a smartphone because the goal is for us to devolve, right? And turn us into monkeys, which we know we ain't, human beings did come from no damn monkeys. Because if we did, human beings we'd still see it. The stuff that they talk about, you never see no more. Just like Pangea. It's still Pangea. It is still Pangea, bro. Because have the continents, does it take any further to get from Africa to America? Or why the continents stay still moving? Right? This is thinking for yourself. Because if you just let these, like, this is what we learn in school, bro. This is what they teach us. And like I said, the Rockefellers bought the school system. He said he don't want a nation of thinkers. General Education Board. Look, now why y'all want to know my location? I'm good. We going in. Rockefeller spent tons of money buying the education system because he said he don't want a nation of thinkers. The aim of the public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level to breed and train a standardized citizenry to put down dissent and originality. Originality, the light, the epiphanous gland, having epiphanies, having inventors. I could show you where the most inventions happened was before he bought the school system. That's the shit is crazy, son. Before he bought the school system, all the inventions was coming out. And they slowed that down and made a nation of the workers, people who can't think for themselves. They just turn off the news. John D. Rockefeller founded the General Education Board in 1902. A lot of inventions came out before this, a little bit after this too, but you know, the stoplight, the car. I could go on and on and on. But you know, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. Right? These was the bosses, man, and everybody knew it back then because they worked for these people. Right? DuPont, Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, Rothschilds, all these people. Toyota Matrix. It's crazy.
All the Mamelukes, the bodyguard of the Caliph of Egypt. So now they're waging war against Islam like they are today.
Welcome to the Matrix.
When Napoleon's usefulness came to an end, the Jesuits had him betray his soldiers in a war with Russia. Like many of the founding fathers of America, the French soldiers were very nationalistic, and they would be a problem in the future plans of the Jesuits. After his defeat in Russia, Napoleon was forced to abdicate. Working in the shadows, the Jesuits made sure.
Matter of fact, y'all, I'm about to get off here, y'all, man. We done went for a minute. Let's see how long we went, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button for your brother, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button for your brother, man. More people can, you know, that's the way YouTube work, man. More people hit the like button, the more YouTube is like, okay, we can send this out to more and more people, right? So, you know, y'all don't want to be on here by yourself, I know. So make sure y'all hit the like button, fam. Hit the like button for me, man. See, my car's got a Toyota Matrix. You tapped in, bro. I always be like, welcome to the Matrix when people get in. Welcome to the Matrix. It's real. It's real stuff. Shout out to Love and Reality. Shout out to Keegan Thompson. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Peace. Make sure y'all hit that like button for your brother, man. It's all good. We'll catch y'all next time, man. Much love, Keegan. We out. Peace, peace, peace.